10 command line hacks I think every Linux user should know. These are tips and tricks that can help you speed up your workflow, fix common annoyances, and ultimately make the command line work for you. So I hope you enjoy this. Let's jump right in and start hacking our way through the terminal right now. Have you ever got to the situation when you've run a command, you forget to add sudo in front of it? For instance, I could use the apt command update, and I'll click enter and I'll get a permission denied error because I haven't used sudo. So let's see what happens. I do this, permission denied. Now, of course, I could rerun this with sudo, but a quick way, a nice hack, in fact, to get over this is to use the double exclamation mark command. And in fact, what we're going to do is we're going to use the double exclamation mark to repeat the last command. And we can do this especially with sudo by going sudo, double exclamation. It then reruns the command with sudo put in front of it. That is a quick hack. Now, apt update, super simple command, but what if it's a really complicated command? Well, using sudo and double exclamation points will quickly rerun the command, save time and frustration. Now, this one I think is actually a bit of a lifesaver. You can reverse search your command history. All you've got to do is use Control-R and you'll go into the reverse search screen. And you can search through your command history. You start typing out any part of a previous command and then it will search back in history to find it for you. For instance, I want to use the grep command. I could type in grep, it would look back and find that my last instance was that. Similarly, what else could I do? I could look for ls. Finds my last version of ls, I can click enter and then it runs it for me. This is the crucial part. You do your search, when it finds the command that you want, hit enter and it immediately runs it. So rather than having to thumb through the long history file of every command you've written, you can use reverse search to find it quickly and then quickly run that command. And of course, if it's a really complicated command, not as complicated as ls, but something much more complicated, that's super helpful. Now, I already showed you that you can use the double exclamation point to repeat the command with sudo, but you can actually just use it on its own to simply repeat the last command, which can be a real time saver. So I can again go exclamation, hit enter, nothing runs because I just ran clear. I use ls, then use an exclamation, there we go, it runs it again. And this could be any command you've just run. So I think this is really helpful if you're troubleshooting or you want to test a command repeatedly. Just hitting the double exclamation point will save you some keystrokes. And actually, when you're a command line user, sometimes things like saving keystrokes is super helpful. It seems basic, but it's all about being super efficient. And these hacks are about being efficient, saving time, and being even more productive at the command line. Now let's talk about controlling background and foreground jobs. So we can do this using the Control and Z command and then BG and FG. So let's say I want to keep a command or keep a program running, there's only access to my terminal. Well, I can use Control Z to pause the program, then BG to send it to the background. And when I'm going to bring it back, I use FG and boots it back up. Simple as that. So for instance, what if I wanted to run nano? So let's have a look. I think I've got some text files in here. So I'll run nano on this file here, open it up. And if I wanted to send this to the background, I would use Control Z. However, because I'm in Nano, there's actually two things. I want to do Control T and Z, because to execute the command in Nano, you've got to do that as well. Control T, Z, there you go. Now, if I want to send it to the background, I simply type BG. It's now been sent to the background. And if I want to bring it back, I type FG, and boom, there it is. And I can do this repeatedly. This allows me to send programs to the background, keep on working in the terminal, and bring them back up when I need them. Super simple, but super effective and really powerful. So I'd highly recommend learning how to use Control and Z with BG and FG. Now, if you're typing the same long command repeatedly, I really hope you already know about the alias command, but if you don't, here we go. Alias will allow you to create a shortcut. For example, if you've got a really complicated command, alias allows you to put in something really simple to run that without having to type it out every single time. A really simple example, for instance, if I wanted to create an alias, I could say LL, it's going to be my alias, and I could assign to this LS with the AL H flag. Hit that, and now I could run LL, and there you go, it runs that for me. So I haven't got to type that out each time. I can simply use my new alias of LL. Now, of course, this is going to vary depending on what you actually want to do, and there's some really useful aliases that simplify commands that you use often. For example, what about git status? Instead of writing out git status, why don't you just use an alias? And this alias could just be GS. So I could do alias GS equals git status. And in the future, if I want to get git status, I can just use GS instead of writing it all out. Basic, but that simplification saves keystrokes, means you haven't got to remember the particulars of commands. You allow the terminal to remember them for you. So I love using aliases. I use them all the time. Now, let's say you want to find a specific command, but you ran it days ago. Now, a great way to do that is to use history and to pipe that with grep. And what that means is you can search through the command history and you can use the keyword to search for that particular command. For instance, I wanted to say, find part of a command involving apt, but I can't remember exactly which command it was. And when I did it, I could simply go history, pipe that to grep, and my keyword apt hit enter, and now I get a view over all of the apt commands I've ran recently. And you can actually see some little nuggets in here, some of the installations I've done to some of the fun Easter eggs and other fun features that are built into the Linux terminal. Well, they used to be built in, they're not there by default anymore, but calendar, bar step for bastard tennis, C matrix, etc. So there you go, a little nugget behind the scenes of how I'm making these videos. But the key point is using history and searching through it is a really super useful thing to do if you remember part of the command, but not the exact syntax. And by doing history, pipe to grep, you can find it without scrolling through everything. I think that's super helpful and a great hack for being productive at the command line. Now, another really useful hack is to substitute mistakes. So for instance, what if I wanted to ping google.com, but I misspelled something? Well, I could use the substitution syntax to substitute something that was wrong in the previous command with something that's right now. So let's just break this down. Let's say I did ping google.cn instead of .com. And I run that, and then I realize, oh no, I did the wrong thing. Well, I'll terminate that. And if I want to replace it, I can simply replace old with new with this syntax. It's old, new. Now, in this case, what is old? It's cn, and what is new? It's com rather than cpom. And then all I've got to do is type this out, hit enter, and it reruns the command, as you can see, .com instead of .cm with that substitution. Super simple, super quick, but if you're really bashing through commands in a hurry, this is a great way to quickly fix typos. I love this command. Now, another really great thing to do is to run command substitution. And all you need to use is the $, some parentheses, and you stick your command inside and other commands to capture their output. This is known as command substitution. It's really useful for embedding one command's output within another. So here's a really simple example. I could use echo, and I could echo out today's date. And I'm going to use the $ with open and close parentheses with date inside to run the date command inside my echo command. This is command substitution. The command of date is being run inside the echo command. This is how it looks. Echo, and I'm going to say today is, and I'm going to use my $, open parentheses, date, close the string, hit enter, and there you go. That's today's date and time. Very simple. This is a very simple example, but it's really powerful for building custom scripts and custom outputs when you want to use command substitution. So get familiar with this. It's a really great thing to add to your arsenal. Now, this one's actually super simple, but what if you want to see your disk usage at a glance? I need a quick way to check the available disk space. Well, really easy. df with h, the human readable format, hit enter, and now you can see all the different disks attached to the system and see how much is available and how much is being used. This is super simple, and it summarizes the space used by each item in the current directory. It's perfect for spotting anything you need to know. So for instance, say I'm in this directory right now, and instead of just using df with h to see how much space is available in my system in general, I might want to see how much space is being used in my current directory specifically. And then I would use du, and I would use sh, and I would use that wildcard. And there we go. Now I can see everything that's in my directory, and I can see how much space each thing is using. So df with human readable format is great for your entire system, and du with human readable format is fantastic for the current directory. Super simple commands, but really helpful ways to get a handle on what's going on in your system. So I highly encourage you learning both of these. Now, let's talk about the T command. And the T command lets you write output to a file while also displaying it on the screen. This is great for logging output while still seeing it live in real time. Super helpful if you're system admin. So for instance, a great way of doing this would be to do something like ls, and then I could have my pipe, my T command, and I'm going to T this to 50. And what we should see here is I'm going to see the ls on the screen, but I'm also going to end up teeing out this files list.txt file, which is a record of what's in the ls command. So we can save the results without losing visibility, and then we can open this up and confirm they're the same. So there we go. Now we've got this. And then what I can do next is I can have a look in here. I can see my files list files. I can simply go nano files list, open it up, and there we go. There is my ls output within this file. So T is fantastic for splitting output between your terminal and a file. So you don't miss what's happening, but you also get to keep a record, and that's really helpful for saving results without losing the visibility of them later. So again, as a system admin, T is one of those fantastic commands to know how to use. This is a great way to be able to contain your existing output from the screen in a file so you can see it later. So persisting outputs and logs is sometimes really helpful, especially if you're doing some troubleshooting on the fly. So there you go. There are 10 command line hacks I think every Linux user should definitely know. From reusing commands to searching history and multitasking, I think these tips really make the command line faster, easier, and actually a bit more fun to use. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you enjoy using these hacks in your own command line use. And thanks for watching. Can't wait to see you in the next video.